Welcome back to another podcast by 904 and More. We are your hosts. I'm Tyler, and joined by my co-host Brandon. How's it going, man?
Good. A little sunburn from yesterday, but overall doing good.
Absolutely. We have a lot to talk about. Some, breaking Jaguars news, as well as going over the Jaguars Cardinals game. Over that heartbreaker towards the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, how the Jaguars blew the game, as well as other games around the NFL. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. The Jaguars trade CJ Henderson to the Carolina Panthers. They do receive a few picks and tight end Dan Arnold in return. Before I talk about, my thoughts, what are your thoughts?
I think this is a surprise, but I want to give props to you. I think you called this. Like, literally, we were at the game. And you're like, what if Tyson Campbell has a good game playing outside? Like, obviously, Shaq is staying. So if Campbell's out there and Herndon comes back to the nickel, what's going to happen to CJ? And this is what happens. So they didn't want to bench him. So they're like, we need a tight end after Hollister's interception. I think Urban's called it like that was unacceptable. And I think he said unacceptable like 3 times during like when he was describing that. So they pulled the trigger on tight end Dan Arnold's okay. I think he was a wide receiver in college. So we'll see what happens. But I think we gave up on CJ maybe a little too early is what I'm reading into it.
Yeah, so apparently, Urban Meyer wanted Arnold in free agency. They tried to go after him. They unfortunately couldn't get him, but now they end up with him.
We could have paid him. He was only like 2 years, $6 million. It wasn't
for sure
break the bank.
But I guess the positive is that he comes in, he's easily the Jags' number 1 tight end. Like, it's not even a question.
Yeah.
I expect him. He was at practice today. I expect him. He'll play Thursday.
Urban already said he's going to play Thursday, which
So,
I don't know how in depth of a playbook he's going to have, but probably gets simple routes, but I don't expect him to get too much into it.
The one thing I noticed about watching, some Panthers highlights as well as that Thursday night game is that Arnold is kind of like that check down for Darnold. So hopefully that becomes something that Trevor Lawrence, just 4 or 5 yards, but those 4 or 5 yards help out quite a bit, the short yardage situations. But I do agree that we gave up on CJ a little too early, but I can understand Urban, and Trent Baalke if Tyson Campbell was going to play well on outside, because you don't want Tyson Campbell on the inside. You've seen what happened the first game and 2. He struggles in the inside, and he played fairly well on the outside. But CJ Henderson, the one thing that wasn't going for him is that injuries. He couldn't stay healthy. You're in his second year, he's only played 10 games. Only 10 games, and he was picked number 9. So I do kind of wish maybe we would have got like a second and a third for him. I don't think we were going to get a first regardless, just because, he hadn't played well, and also, injury concerns. But overall, I would say I'd give it maybe a C+, just because you got a tight end in return, and you got a few picks. I still would like to get more from the trade, but we will see if this trade backfires in the Jaguars down the stretch.
I feel like this is a good trade for the Panthers, though, honestly. Like, they gave a 3rd-round pick, which isn't really a ton, and they really liked the tight end they drafted out of Notre Dame, Tommy Tremble. So they're like, he wasn't even our starting tight end probably the next couple of weeks, and a 3rd-round pick they just lost Jace Horn. So they're like, we need to fill in that role immediately. CJ can do that. And if CJ works out, they could have Jeremy Chin, Jace Horn, and CJ Henderson. That's a very young, fast, athletic core going forward, and that's a really big thing. I think the Panthers, I agree. I think the Jags get like a C or so, because you get a guy, Tyson Campbell, who's played almost as many games as CJ Henderson has in a third of the time, and you get a tight end. They're just going to keep trying tight ends until one finally works. Maybe he's the guy. So it's not too bad, but man, I give the Panthers, this is like a solid A for them.
Absolutely.
If they can get CJ to work, their secondary with that defense with Derek Brown, Brian Burns, man, the Panthers defense might be a top 5 defense next coming years, all depending on CJ Henderson, and see if he can reach that number 9 overall potential.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing before we move on to talk about the Jags and Cardinals game is that last year, apparently I read that if the Panthers were debating between Brown and CJ Henderson, they ended up going Brown. So they get both their guys that they ended up wanting. So I guess,
pretty good.
Them, right?
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and talk Arizona Cardinals versus Jaguars. Jaguars blew this game. They had a chance to win it. But I do want to start things off on the positive notes and kind of give, a few, be like, all right, they played well, like kind of, my stars of the game for the Jaguars. Start things off with Jamal Agnew. Right now, Jamal Agnew, in my personal opinion, I think even though Cordell Patterson's out there, Jamal Agnew is 100% the best returner in the NFL. I don't even think it's close right now.
Is Cordell Patterson even taking returns anymore?
I don't think he is right now.
I don't think he is. I mean, we saw this return group. Honestly, Farrah Cooper's also one of the best return guys, and we had him here in camp. Claybrooks was a return guy out of college. Like, this return group was just stacked on the Jaguars, but Agnew was clearly the number one. He's proven it now, man. He's easily going to be maybe the Jaguars' only Pro Bowl selection this year.
Yeah.
I could totally see Josh Allen may get a nod. He's actually doing very well. He's on pace to have like 50 plus pressures, double-digit sacks. So maybe Josh Allen maybe sneaks in there. But looking right now, Agnew is looking like a clear Pro Bowl favorite, possibly all pro for his return game.
And Urban Meyers loves special teams, but I got to give a shout out to a guy that's a lot of people trash, but that was Andrew Wingard. Andrew Wingard last week played pretty decent, and this week he ends up with the interception for the Jaguars and makes a few other plays. So, I mean, I guess, I can understand maybe why the coaches are starting him over Cisco. I still would like to see Cisco play, but I guess I'm not going to bash Wingard for right now.
Yeah, he's played a lot better. He's the number one graded on PFF for the Jaguars' whole defense. Like, better than Josh Allen, Miles Jack, Jenkins, Shaquille. He is the number one on PFF. Whatever. I know some people don't like PFF. Some people are all PFF people. But take it what it's worth. He is the highest rated Jacksonville Jaguars player on defense for PFF. And maybe for the whole team too, because Norwell was the original. And the whole Whirlybird situation we got going on with that situation maybe dropped him. Maybe Wingard actually took over for the Jaguars' overall PFF grade as a top player.
Yeah. And then one more person I want to give a shout out to, and that's Griffin, who had a great game. He shadowed Hopkins the whole game, allowed 3 catches for 21 yards. So, like, huge props to him. I mean, that was just unbelievable performance. Maybe the Jaguars will start going man-to-man and let him just shadow everyone.
Yeah, I mean, Hopkins was hurt. He didn't practice basically all week, but he's also done that multiple times in his career, and he still gets 10 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown. And I think, honestly, we could almost give a shout out to everybody on defense. I actually felt like until near the end of that game, the Jaguars defense was playing almost perfect. You had the first drive where they scored. Then after that, the Jaguars defense really shut them down. Jaguars actually right now have one of the best third down defenses in the league. They held the Cardinals 1-9. The Broncos weren't very good. I think the Broncos were only had 2 of 12 or something. It's crazy to think, but this Jaguars defense is actually playing very well right now, and against teams that are actually doing well on offense as well. It's not like we're going against the Jets, not trying to deal with the Broncos or anything, but the Broncos' 3 wins right now have come to teams who are 0-3. So we'll have to see if they're pretenders or whatever, but at least the Jags are facing right now winning football teams, and their defense is holding up pretty well.
Yeah, we just need the offense to really start clicking. Now let's jump things over to
it looked good.
Trevor Lawrence had a decent day. He had that one batted pick 6, which he should have thrown the ball away. The first interception off Hollister's hands was 100% on Hollister.
Yeah.
But what makes me believe that Trevor Lawrence is a franchise quarterback was a touchdown to Chark out. He looked to his right and then looked to his left. I mean, that is something that a veteran quarterback will make. And that right there shows that he's the franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, we were literally 20 feet away from when Chark cut that touchdown. And usually live, you don't really get the feel when you watch the game on TV or how good of a pass was. That one looked almost better live than it did in person than on TV. It was just beautiful. You saw the Arizona guy go in the air and you're like, oh, it's going to be bad. And just went over his fingertips right to Chark in the corner. It was one of Trevor's most beautiful passes he's thrown all year. Easily.
Absolutely. And offensive line this week coming into the game is one of the better units in the NFL, but they definitely struggled a lot, a few sacks. And I think I actually seen a stat today where 50% of Trevor Lawrence's dropbacks, he was actually getting pressure. So offensive line did not play good at all. Trevor Lawrence did make a few of his rookie mistakes, like that pick 6, like I said, and definitely did overthrow some of his guys and had some, miscommunications. But offense as a whole, I think, is getting better each and every week, even though they're not putting up a ton of points. But they are finally running the ball, which is something that's I think that helped Trevor Lawrence out a lot, especially Trevor Lawrence started running the ball as well as just being able to run out of the pocket. I think it just getting James Robinson involved more, even use Carlos Hyde more, it just really helped the offense as a whole.
Yeah, they finally that one drive where we went up. What was it? When we went up 19-10. That James Robinson and Carlos Hyde had a good run on that one too. He almost scored actually. He took all the credit away from James Robinson there for a little bit, but James Robinson, we just need to feed him the ball, man. Like I'm like even Hyde actually had a pretty good game. Like Hyde, I don't think really any of our running plays were bad. Not many of them were short or anything like that. I'm trying to look right here. Yeah, I mean, James Robinson 15 for 88, Carlos Hyde 8 for 44, Trevor 6 for 27. Like Hyde and James Robinson averaged 5.7 yards per carry.
They've been doing it almost all year too.
And that's when we were leading majority of the game too. It's not like it was disparity and they were like just playing soft or whatnot, trying not to just allow a big play. Like they were playing with the lead and still running the ball on JJ Watt and that defense of the Cardinals. So to me, it's like, man, we really got to be running the ball more. Like Trevor had a good game throwing the ball. I don't even know if I count that flea flicker on him. He had almost no option with. I think he maybe was trying to even throw the ball away. I know there was a receiver. I think Hollister was the guy there, but when you look at Trevor, I think he was just trying to throw that ball just anywhere, not trying to take the hit from JJ. So I wouldn't even count him with both interceptions.
If that play worked out, man, Chark was a touchdown. Chark,
he was open. It looks like there's actually video. We'll just go into that freaking whirly bird crap that's happening. That's actually a play. I thought Jawan Taylor was calling crap. If I saw someone post a video and they boosted up their volume, you can hear Trevor twice say whirly bird, whirly bird. That is an actual play on this Jaguars roster where they have Norwell spinning, trying to, I guess, throw off the defender there, like trying to make him think that it's really a run play because he's committing so much or something. I don't know. They need to scratch that. If they just didn't do that stupid thing with Norwell with that spinning thing, that was a touchdown. And we would have been up like
25 because
double
of that.
digits. I can't remember. Yeah. It would have been, and it would have been a highlight everywhere. All you would have seen on Good Morning Football, on Sports Center, would have been that flea flicker pass to GJ Chark for 70-yard touchdown or whatever it would have been. Yeah. And we actually, I would say if we got that touchdown, I would have said we would have won this game. Because that completely changed the game.
Because they ended up scoring a touchdown, so it was 19-17. So what it would have been like 25-17, 26-17 within the fourth quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and then they wouldn't have gotten that interception. We went 3 and out, and then they just strolled down the field. This would have been a completely different game if that stupid play call to have Linder go on the spin cycle against JJ Watt. Why are you going to do that against JJ Watt? Like literally a Hall of Fame player, and you're going to turn your back to him. He's going to eat that alive, and that's what happened.
No, yeah, 100%. But I guess in the end, the Jaguars are getting better each and every week. It's about time they're starting to click. It's eventually going to happen. Hopefully it happens this week against the Bengals. So the Bengals are actually playing really good football right now. Yeah. I've seen a stat or the schedule for the Bengals. They have the Jags, and I think they have the Jets, and they have another 0-3 team as well. So the Bengals could really start 5-1 possibly.
I think they have the Falcons as one, but yeah, they could easily be a surprise sleeper.
Yeah, absolutely, especially the way they're starting their season. Well, let's talk about some other games in the NFL. Sunday Night Football, that Aaron Rodgers coming back, beating the 49ers. Great game.
I'm tired of these primetime games where I go to sleep and I miss everything. Like I watched the first half and I'm like, I'm exhausted from the game. I'm like, this is a good game, but I really want to, I'm not like going to stay up to watch Aaron Rodgers versus the 49ers. I'm like, good game. I'll see what happens when I wake up. Of course, I wake up and I see all the text messages. I see Twitter blowing up, and I see I love the meme where it's just like the one solo Packers fan in the crowd just going like 35 seconds, too much time. They don't even know.
Yep.
Too much time. I can't believe Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest to ever do it.
And I just want a game that Jalen Hurts just threw a pick 6 to Diggs.
You know, I don't even have it on right now. I probably should.
I literally turned my head for 1 second. Diggs just got a pick 6.
Man, I even picked. The Eagles just. I don't know what's happening in this game. Like they ran like 12 plays in the entire first half, just because Dallas is just continuing to run the ball on them and they can't do anything about it. It's literally the same play over. Even the announcers are like, same play. Zeke up the
Tony
middle.
Pollard's
Zeke
having a
up the
good game.
middle,
Even
Tony Pollard to the outside. That's all they're doing. And it's working like a charm. And I'm like, this is sad.
yeah, absolutely. But there are two games I want to talk about Sunday. I know we got off track, off topic there, but I had to tell you.
No,
since
I'm glad you told me. I don't even have it on. We'll see if I might go to bed. Maybe they'll actually come back and win,
right?
just like every other game that's been happening on prime time.
But the Chargers beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Justin Herbert 4 touchdowns, I believe, and drops the Kansas City Chiefs to 1-2. They are 4th in the division, last place. They're obviously going to win the division. I really do think they will.
Yeah.
But right now, they're last place. I mean, that's what it is.
Well, they've had a really tough schedule, actually, like to begin with. Like you had the Ravens, the Chargers, and who was their win? I forgot. It was their first game of the year. I don't even remember who they faced. But still, you go Ravens, the Chargers, back-to-back weeks. That's a tough thing. And they lose both of those barely. So you got to think like, and both of those teams are probably playoff teams early in the year. They're going to bounce back. They just they reinstated Josh Gordon. He automatically went there. If they're smart by him, I would
100%.
want to go there as well right now. So who knows? Maybe in a few weeks we'll talk about Josh Gordon having like an Antonio Brown thing, how he surged at the end of the year to push the Bucs to the playoffs. Maybe Josh Gordon does the same thing.
Yeah, I could see it. The Kansas Chiefs, like I said, 1-2, but I mean they'll bounce back. I feel bad, honestly. Whoever they're playing against is, this weekend.
They're still the favorites. They're still literally the favorite. Maybe against the Bills or the Bucs, but other than that, they're pretty much favorites.
I do want to give props though to Derek Carr, who is playing phenomenal football for the Raiders. Yeah. That Raiders team is the whole division is tough. Honestly, I could see all three with the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers all making the playoffs.
Yeah, Broncos could too, man. Like I said, I don't. They might be more pretenders than contenders just based on their early schedule wins, but they've at least handled those games pretty easily. It's not like they barely won those games, so that's good on there. But it could be the best division in football besides maybe the opposite, the NFC West.
Yep, I agree. And the one game I definitely want to talk about, I think you know which one I'm about to go to. The NFL record, Lions versus the Ravens, 66 yarders by Justin Tucker. I mean, Justin Tucker, best kicker in NFL history. He does it again, kicks another long one, but for 66 yards, I mean, that's just unbelievable. First of all, though, how did the Lions allow Lamar Jackson to complete like that 4th and like 20 and basically kind of like just leave this guy kind of open?
Right. And then not only that, I think there is controversy too with the play right before the kick that technically time should have ran out or something like that. And somehow the Ravens, it didn't run out. Like a lot of Lions fans are really upset with the refs, but I don't care, man. He kicked it 66 yards and like hit that doink and just went right over the thing. They were meant to win that game. Like football gods were like, Ravens are going to win this game. I don't care what it is. Sometimes that's just how it happens.
Absolutely. I know we were talking about this actually a few days ago of how we said the Lions might only win 2 or 3 games, but the Lions are playing pretty good football, and might be the team that's going to give you a fight every single week, but only win 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, the Panthers were that last year, where they lost like 7 games by like single digits or something like that. I think the Texans also did that like another year where they like started terribly and then they finished really hot or whatever. I think that was like 2 or 3 years ago. But so I mean, that happens. We'll see. Maybe the Lions will be good next year. Jared Goff hasn't necessarily looked bad. Swift and Williams look like one of the best running back duos in the league. Their offensive line's getting better. Who knows? Maybe if they actually get a playmaker on offense for a wide receiver and upgrade their defense, they might actually be a good, decent football team next year.
Yeah, you seen Dan Campbell's interview after the game says, if you told me that the Ravens would have try a 66-yarder to win the game, most of the time you're going to take those odds because
never happened before. It's literally never. And we saw with the Cardinals tried it for a 68 and we got it for a touchdown. So, I mean, you got to think of like 66 yards it should be almost impossible, but people are making that now, man. Like I'll just bring up, we signed the kicker too to handle the whole Lambeau situation, kid from UCF. And there's videos of him knocking down 64-yard field goals, like 3 in a row. So I think at some point in the next 5 or 7 years, we're going to see a 70-yard kick. Like,
That's me insane, man.
like it may have to be in Denver with the wind at their back or whatever, but you got to think if you can make a 66, I get he barely made it. Like literally, it couldn't have been like an inch shorter than that. But you're telling me there's someone who probably can do that. Maybe if this not in a dome, they're in Denver with that win. I think we're going to see it happen at some point.
Yeah, I could definitely see it in the future. What about the Rams? And man, they are just playing some really good football. Matthew Stafford, what's he have 9 touchdowns, 1 interception in his 3 games, and then you have Cooper Kupp, that connection right there. I think what's Kupp have 5 or 6 touchdowns already?
Yeah, he's. I almost picked him, man. I was thinking about it, but then there was like some talk of like Matthew Stafford's never really had a good slot receiver. Like every slot receiver they've ever had, he basically ignores them. Same with tight ends. And he's doing the opposite with Cooper. He's just giving the Cooper because Cooper's open. There was that one route where like for the touchdown he had where he just does a double move on the corner. And it's one of the slickest double moves. Like he goes outside, inside, and then back outside. And that receiver the corner just completely bit on that inside. Matthew Stafford and him have an instant connection. And Stafford knew, I'm throwing this out. I'm not throwing it in. And I think that's also where Trevor's got to get better at it. And I think he will when he gets older, has that connection with guys. You'll start seeing more of those kind of things. And maybe that's why receivers aren't getting as open. But hopefully we get that connection that Matthew Stafford has with Kupp, with Lawrence, and maybe Shenault would probably be the best one.
Yeah, that would be nice for the Jaguars and definitely help Trevor Lawrence out. But I think
you're good, man. I at least want to get to one point where we talk about Trevor's the juke on Arizona, and he just broke his ankle.
That linebacker in Arizona. Oh my gosh, dude! The crowd went nuts when that happened, man.
I don't know what was louder when the replay of that went on the stadium, like the broadcast of the stadium, or the kick return. Like honestly, both of those were like the loudest of the entire game.
Dude, that kick return though, that kick 6 was just unbelievable, man. Just watching him come down the sideline right to our section and just do the Jaguars sideline erupted. And that was, I really thought, the turning point of the game. At one point it was, because literally when they started the third quarter, Andrew Winger picks off Murray. And I was like,
after that pick, I thought it was over. I thought we were going to win. I'm like, if this is going to, and then in literally like a 7-minute time frame, the Arizona Cardinals scored like
21 points,
21 points in like a 7-minute time frame. And it was just like, just because you can't play good football for those 7 minutes, you lose the entire game out of the whole, 48 minutes, and you just lose 7 of those. Not even, that's like what, not even 10% of the whole game or whatever, and you lose.
That's how it goes in the NFL, man. Every second counts. They say that every second counts.
Yeah.
But overall, I think a great week of football. Jaguars are definitely improving. They have a matchup this Thursday against the Bengals. I'll be there, so I don't know if you'll be doing the picks this week by yourself. We will see what happens there. But other than that, thank you all for listening. If you're on iHeartRadio or Spotify or watching on YouTube, definitely go check us out on Twitter at 904 more. Other than that, we are out. Go Jags.
Peace out, guys.